Well, thank you and welcome everyone once again to today's webinar on inclusive employment for people who are blind or vision impaired, brought to you by the Eye to the Future project at Blind Citizens Australia. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. The topics covered. Okay, people who are blind or vision impaired lead rich, fulfilling lives and offer many benefits to the workplace when given the opportunity. However, statistics show that in Australia, people who are blind or vision impaired face higher rates of underemployment or unemployment compared to the general population. One major contributing factor is employers' lack of confidence in providing necessary adjustments to support employees with vision loss. An Eye to the Future project, funded by the Department of Social Services, aims to bridge this gap by providing resources to help employers create accessible and inclusive workplaces. Our goal today is to equip you with practical tools and knowledge to hire, onboard, and support employees who are blind or vision impaired. Topics we'll cover today include key facts on blindness and vision impairment, benefits of employing people with disabilities, understanding vision impairment, interacting with colleagues who are blind or vision impaired, tips on inclusive recruitment, accessible onboarding and training, assistive technology in the workplace, and digital accessibility best practices, workplace adjustments and inclusive design, fostering an inclusive workplace culture, and some useful resources. So let's dive in. Key facts on blindness and vision impairment. Before we get into the topic of inclusive employment, let's take a moment to understand the facts and the numbers, because the data gives us important context for why change is so essential. In Australia, over 530,000 people are blind or vision impaired. More than 500,000 people with a wide range of skills, passions, and potential. As of 2022, approximately 33% of working age Australians, that's 15 to 64 years of age, with disability were employed full-time, compared to almost 58% of those without disability, according to the Australian Disability Network. And a study held in 2019 by the World Blind Union revealed that only 24% of blind Australians, or Australians who are blind or vision impaired, were in full-time employment. A 2023 Guide Dogs Australia study found that around 29% of people who are blind or vision impaired are totally blind, 71% have some remaining vision. Only 30% use guide dogs, others rely on canes, technology, or residual vision. Importantly, participants listed the workplace as one of the top 6 most challenging environments to navigate, echoing other research showing that accessibility and employer attitudes are some of the biggest barriers. So, why are employment rates low in this community? I tell you, it's not due to a lack of talent or drive. In many cases, it comes down to misconceptions, outdated beliefs about what people who are blind or vision impaired can or cannot do. The truth is, most jobs don't require sight. And with today's assistive technologies and flexible work practices, most roles can be made accessible. According to NDIS data from June 2023, just 2% of participants report vision impairment as their primary disability. But what's striking is that 90% of those participants have a high reported level of function, meaning they're more than capable of contributing meaningfully to the workforce. So as we continue through today's session, I invite you to reflect on these numbers. They paint a clear picture that inclusive employment isn't a favor, it's a necessity. Going to the next slide. The benefits of hiring people with disabilities. Now that we've looked at some of the key statistics, let's talk about something equally important: the benefits of employing people with disabilities. Because while inclusive hiring is about doing what's right, it's also about doing what's smart. Creating diverse and inclusive workplaces leads to better outcomes for everyone: the employees, the team, and the entire organization. So, research shows that hiring people with disabilities improves team morale, boosts productivity, and creates more empathetic, resilient organizations. Let's explore some of these benefits more closely. First, diversity drives innovation. When we bring together people with different lived experiences, we invite in a broader range of perspectives. That diversity of thought helps teams solve problems more creatively and approach issues in a new, more efficient way. Employees with disabilities often bring unique approaches to navigating challenges, and that can spark solutions that benefit the whole team. Next, let's talk about work ethic. Research consistently shows that employees with disability demonstrate strong motivation, reliability, and loyalty. Many employers report lower turnover rates and longer tenure when they have inclusive hiring practices. Why is that? Because when someone has fought so hard just to be included, they don't take that opportunity for granted. They show up and they often go above and beyond. There's also a significant cultural impact. Inclusive workplaces foster empathy and understanding, which naturally improves team morale. When inclusion is embedded in workplace culture, it signals that everyone belongs, everyone matters, and everyone's contribution is valued. That kind of culture isn't just good for people with disabilities, it uplifts everyone. It creates safer, more positive environments where all employees can thrive. Another benefit that's sometimes overlooked is customer engagement. People with disabilities represent a large portion of the population and therefore a significant customer base. When your team includes people with disabilities, your organisation becomes better equipped to understand and meet the needs of a wider audience. It builds trust, improves service delivery, and often results in a more accessible and user-friendly product or experience for all customers, not just some. Now, let's talk dollars and cents. There are financial supports available for inclusive employers. In Australia, programs like the Employment Assistance Fund through Job Access can help cover the cost of workplace modifications, assistive technologies, or Auslan interpreting. Some employers may also be eligible for wage subsidies or ongoing support through disability employment services. So creating accessible workplaces doesn't have to come at a personal or financial cost. There's support available to help you to do it right. Of course, there's also the legal dimension. In Australia, the Disability Discrimination Act makes it unlawful to discriminate against someone on the basis of their disability. By actively creating inclusive and accessible workplaces, employers are not only improving equity, they're also ensuring they're meeting legal obligations around equal opportunity and fair treatment. But perhaps the most important point is this: employing people with disabilities isn't about charity, it's about opportunity. It's about recognizing the value of people who've often been underestimated and giving them the chance to show what they can do. As someone who is legally blind myself, I've experienced firsthand the power of inclusion and the sting of exclusion. When someone takes a chance on you, when they focus on your potential instead of your limitations, it can be life-changing. And the impact goes both ways. So whether you're a business owner, a team leader, or part of a larger organization, I encourage you to think about how you can open the door a little wider. because when we make space for everyone, we all stand to benefit. Now I'm going to take a pause here just to see if anyone has any questions. As Miller said, if you could raise your hand and introduce yourself and your organization before you ask your question, that would be great. And if there's no questions, then I'll press on.
We've got one from Casey. Casey, if you would like to unmute.
Hi, team. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm sorry, I will have to drop off soon, but I thought I will jump in and ask a quick question. And hopefully there'll be a recording afterwards. I'll catch the rest of it because I'm really keen to hear. But where do you think an organization should get started? I've been taking notes frantically, and I think it's really helpful to emphasize the stats and the benefits. But if I have an opportunity to speak to our talent acquisition team and get them to think a little bit differently about their hiring practices, I wanted to ask if you have any advice or thoughts on the best way to just get that conversation started.
Well, I think just coming to this webinar is a great step. And thank you. I appreciate you have to go soon. But, and we will be covering the hiring process and onboarding and training and all that sort of thing. But to get the conversation started, I think if you do come across a person with a disability that is looking for work, I would say don't brush them off immediately. Ask what they might need, and look at their resume as you would anyone else. So yeah, there are supports available that people can get. So yeah, I would say give everyone an equal opportunity. And just talking to people is a really big help. I think communication and just asking what people need and what would help them do their job the best. They would probably, I mean, they would definitely know best how they work best. So that would be where I would start.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Casey. All right. Shall I move on to the next slide?
I think so. I don't see
All
any
right.
hands up at this stage.
Let's do it. All right. Understanding vision impairment. So for those who aren't too familiar with vision impairment, I wanted to give a bit of a rundown. So vision impairment is a spectrum. It ranges from complete blindness to various degrees of partial vision loss. It's important to understand that vision impaired and legally blind doesn't necessarily mean total blindness. In Australia, a person is considered legally blind if their vision in their better eye, even with corrective lenses, is no better than 660, meaning they can't see at 6 meters what a person with normal vision can see at 60 meters. Alternatively, they can be considered legally blind if their field of vision is restricted to 10 degrees or less in their better eye. It's also important to remember that not all blindness is visible. Some people might not use a white cane or a dog guide. They might have trouble seeing things straight ahead or off to the side, dealing with glare, or navigating in low light. Even when two people have the same eye condition, their vision and how it affects them can be completely different. Not everyone will want to talk about their vision impairment, and that's okay. It's respectful to ask, but also just as respectful to accept if someone prefers not to share, just like any other personal topic at work. So next slide. Interacting with colleagues who are blind or vision impaired. People who are blind or vision impaired want to be treated the same as anyone else. There are just a few simple things we can do to make communication more inclusive. So firstly, when meeting someone, keep in mind they might not see you have your hand extended for a handshake. Saying something like, "Hi, I'm offering a handshake," is really helpful. Identify yourself by name when speaking, especially in group settings. Speak in your usual tone. No need to shout or slow down unless asked. In meetings, it helps if everyone introduces themselves at the beginning, often called a roll call, so the person knows who is there. Let the person know when a conversation is ending before you walk away. Sudden silences can be very confusing. Don't shy away from using everyday words like see, watch, or look. People who are blind or vision impaired use these terms too. When giving directions, be clear and specific. Instead of saying, "It's over there," try, "The copy machine is just outside the break room to the left of the door." When guiding a person with a vision impairment to a new location, it's best to offer your arm for them to hold onto rather than grabbing theirs. This is called sighted guide. Also, many people who are blind or vision impaired prefer to do things independently. There might be a bit of trial and error while they figure it out, but that's part of the process. Unless someone asks for help or is in danger, it's respectful to let them try on their own. One of the best ways to support a colleague with vision impairment is simple. As I said before, ask them what they need. Everyone's experience is different, so taking a tailored approach makes a big difference. So I wanted to give, just before I move on, does anyone have any questions about any of that? Someone's got a hand raised.
We do from Kathy. Kathy, if you'd like to unmute.
I wanted to ask, will there be a recording sent to us after the webinar?
There will be a recording, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just need to confirm, Amila, will it be sent
Yep.
afterwards? Or?
We can most certainly mail it out to people who've attended.
Yep.
Again, if you can't stay for the duration, it'll be up on YouTube, so we'll send that link out.
Yeah. Oh no, I can stay. It's just I was wondering where I would access it if I needed
Yep.
it. That's all.
We would absolutely encourage people to access it again if you missed something or need to rush off, but also to share it with as many employers and businesses as possible so that we can
Yeah.
spread the word about inclusion. So
Thank
thank you
you.
for your question. All right, so I'm going to move on to tips on inclusive recruitment. So let's talk about making recruitment more inclusive. Hiring someone who is blind or vision impaired doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, many barriers in the recruitment process are unintentional and easy to fix. Here are some simple ways to ensure your hiring process is accessible and welcoming to everyone. I'm going to start with advertising a position. The goal of inclusive recruitment is to remove barriers to all, so that all job seekers, regardless of disability, can apply. Making your job ads accessible not only ensures fairness, but also broadens your applicant pool. Start by identifying the inherent requirements of the role, the essential tasks that must be performed. Avoid unnecessary desirable criteria that could exclude someone who is otherwise qualified. For example, does the role require a driver's license, or could that task be reassigned? Next, making your job ad accessible. Once you've written a fair and inclusive job description, it's important to make sure candidates can access it. Use clear fonts like Arial, Calibri, or Verdana. Avoid italics and all caps. Bold is best for emphasis. If using PDFs, ensure they're properly tagged to make them accessible for screen readers, or provide an alternative format like Word or HTML versions, and this is usually the preference. Ensure your website meets web content accessibility guidelines and always offer an alternative way to apply, such as a direct email. Next, show you're an inclusive employer. A great way to demonstrate your commitment to diversity is by including a diversity and inclusion statement in your ad. Something like, at company name, we value diversity and welcome applications from people of all abilities and backgrounds, including those with disabilities. We understand that some candidates may face additional barriers, and we encourage applicants to demonstrate their potential, even if they don't meet every requirement. If you require adjustments during the hiring process, let us know. We're happy to support you. This sends a powerful message that your organisation is inclusive and willing to accommodate. Reaching job seekers with disabilities. If you're serious about attracting talent with disabilities, consider partnering with organisations that specialise in inclusive hiring. Disability Employment Services can connect you with job seekers who are blind or vision impaired. The National Disability Recruitment Coordinator provides free support and can distribute your job ads to a national network of disability employment providers. Guide Dogs Australia, Vision Australia, and See Differently all offer employment services and connections to job seekers who are blind or vision impaired. The interview process. So not everyone will disclose their disability beforehand, so you have to plan for accessibility as the default. So choose accessible interview locations and provide detailed directions, considering things like entry points, lift access, and wayfinding. Offer any forms of assessments in multiple formats, electronic or large print versions. If you're using online tools, check that they're compatible with assistive technologies like screen readers or keyboard navigation. More on assistive technology later, but making these adjustments shows that you value a wider, more diverse talent pool and are ready to support them to succeed. All right, I'm going to move to accessible onboarding and training. So hiring someone who is blind or vision impaired is just the beginning. What comes next, onboarding and training, is just as important and can make the difference between someone merely starting a job and someone truly thriving. A thoughtful onboarding process sets people up for success. It helps new employees feel welcome, confident, and ready to contribute from day one. So accessible information. Start by ensuring all onboarding and training materials are provided in accessible formats. This might include large print, Word documents or HTML, audio recordings, or Braille. This ensures every employee has equal access to essential information. Orientation and physical familiarization. Offer a guided orientation of the workplace, including workstation setup, common areas like kitchens and restrooms, meeting rooms, emergency exits, and evacuation procedures. Consider assigning a workplace mentor or buddy to support the new employee in the early weeks, helping them to learn the ropes, connect with other team members, and understand the workplace culture. Understanding working styles. So open discussions about individual working styles help build a more inclusive and productive environment. Key topics might include preferred communication methods, how instructions and feedback are delivered, tools or technology they rely on, and this helps set expectations, reduce misunderstandings, and help build mutual respect. So inclusive meetings and communication. To ensure meetings are inclusive, read out the list of attendees in small meetings. Encourage participants to say their name before speaking. Describe visual content in slides rather than saying, "as you can see." Share slides and documents in accessible formats, preferably before the meeting, but also after. These small changes can make a big difference in participation and engagement. So I wanted to stop now and take another pause for any questions that people might have about the hiring, onboarding, or training processes. We are about to get into assistive technology, which is a big topic about.
We do have a hand raised if you'd like to unmute, JZ.
Oh, hello, my name is Jennifer Squires. I work with Department of Child Safety and I'm a senior training officer. I develop training for our staff. I'm really interested in, do you actually have information around the accessibility training? Is there like a booklet or a manual? I can access lots of bits of information, but I struggle to find something that allows me to see the whole visual capability of, when I'm developing a training.
Yeah, and that's a very good question. There isn't a lot of information available out there, but we do have an e-guide that we will be sharing very soon with pretty much all this information that we're talking about today about accessible hiring and onboarding and training, and that will be made available following the webinar that you can share with employers and businesses or even your employee team.
So I would be so grateful. Thank you.
No, we would be grateful. Thank you for considering sharing. Any other questions? Otherwise, I can move on to assistive technology. All right. Okay. Assistive technology in the workplace. So technology plays a powerful role in leveling the playing field, enabling employees who are blind or vision impaired to work independently and effectively. Common assistive technologies. Let's start with screen readers. These are programs that convert text on a screen into speech or braille. Some common ones you might have heard of include JAWS, NVDA, and VoiceOver, which is built into Apple devices. Screen readers allow people to navigate documents, emails, web pages, essentially anything on a computer, through sound or touch. There are also certain apps like Seeing AI that will read documents for you and even scan barcodes, identify money or colors, and all sorts of things. For those who can read Braille, refreshable Braille displays are another powerful tool. These devices translate text into a series of tiny movable pins that form Braille characters, letting the user read by touch. It's an elegant solution that brings tactile reading into the digital age. People with usable vision may also use screen magnifiers like Zoom Text. These tools enlarge text and graphics on the screen and can also enhance contrast or adjust colors, making content easier to see. Speaking of contrast, some people may prefer to have their colors inverted to reduce the glare and potential eye strain. This is when writing is mostly white on a black background. Links will typically appear as yellow. It is often referred to as high contrast mode. All you need to do to find this on your own computer and see what it looks like after this presentation is press Alt-Shift, print screen, and the same to turn it off again. So Alt-Shift, print screen. Keyboard shortcuts are regularly utilized by people who are blind or vision impaired instead of a mouse because it allows them, to navigate more efficiently and accurately, particularly with screen readers. The mouse relies on visual cues, while keyboard commands provide a consistent tactile way to control a computer without needing to see the screen. There are also CCTVs, which stands for closed circuit televisions, which aren't the security kind, but instead are used to magnify printed materials onto a screen. This makes reading books, forms, or handwritten notes much more accessible. Voice-activated assistants like Siri, Google Assistant, or Alexa also play a role in accessibility. They can help with hands-free communication, setting reminders, sending messages, or even controlling workplace devices, all through voice commands. Of course, mobility aids are key to getting around safely. White canes or dog guides help with independent travel, whether it's navigating through a busy office or getting to and from work. It is important never to interfere with a person's mobility aid or dog guide, even if the dog is very cute, because it's safer for their handler. And for workplaces or public spaces, beacon-based navigation tools like Bindi Maps can provide audio directions to guide someone to specific locations, whether that's a meeting room, a bathroom, or a lift. Most people will already be familiar with the tools they use, but understanding their function helps to foster empathy and support. These tools create a work environment where someone who is blind or vision impaired can do their job just as effectively as their peers, sometimes even more efficiently thanks to the way these technologies work. Going to go to the next slide. All right, digital accessibility best practices. Creating an inclusive workplace isn't just about providing the right tools, it's also about making sure the digital environment is accessible from the ground up. A key step is ensuring that all internal platforms and documents are compatible with screen readers and navigable with the keyboard alone. This means making sure that software, intranets, learning systems, and shared documents are readable by programs like JAWS or NVDA, which convert text to speech or Braille. Another simple but powerful practice is using alt text on images. So alt text is a short description of what's on the image or what's in the image, allowing screen readers to convey that content to someone who can't see it. It's also important to avoid placing essential text inside images because screen readers can't interpret that unless it's described separately. When creating PDFs, if you must use them, tagging them properly makes a big difference. Tagged PDFs help screen readers to understand the structure of a document, things like headings, lists, and reading order. It's also vital to ensure that all digital content can be navigated using a keyboard alone without relying on a mouse. And finally, maintaining consistent layouts across documents and platforms really helps with orientation and navigation. When elements are always in the same place, it becomes quicker and easier to move through them using assistive technology. So I just wanted to pause here again for any questions you might have about assistive technology.
Another question from Kathy. Feel free to unmute.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, can you repeat that thing about print screen again? What does that, Alt Shift print screen, what does that do?
So it turns your screen into high contrast mode. And this is the mode that I use. It makes the writing white on black backgrounds.
So it would only be for low vision people.
Well, I mean, some people prefer this because it does reduce eye strain and the glare.
Yeah, I'm a JAWS user and
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
totally blind, and I'm wondering, is it something to recommend to staff to do, or do we do it?
If it's something you would use yourself, then go for it. But if it's, so yes, it would require some vision. So it's not really
Yeah,
beneficial for people that are totally blind.
yep. Thank you for clarifying that.
No problem. All right, I'm going to move
yeah.
on to, unless there's another question? No?
No, go ahead.
All right. So, workplace adjustments and inclusive design. Workplace adjustments, also known as reasonable adjustments, are simple, practical changes that help create a fair work environment. They're a legal requirement, but they're also just good practice. So, examples of workplace adjustments could include installing screen reader or magnifier software, adjusting lighting to reduce glare, providing tactile or high contrast signage, adjusted start and finish times to accommodate transport or energy levels, hybrid or remote work options where practical, being outcome focused rather than rigid about how tasks are completed, providing orientation and mobility training. Flexibility should be part of your everyday workplace culture, not seen as a special arrangement. Let's talk about funding and support. Many of these adjustments come at no cost to the employer. The Australian Government's Job Access Employment Assistance Fund can help cover assistive technology, workplace modifications, disability awareness training, or support work assistance. Contact Job Access on 1800 464 800 or visit their website at jobaccess.gov.au to learn more. So next, fostering an inclusive workplace culture. More than policies or tools, true inclusion is about culture. It's about creating an environment where people with disability feel not just accepted, but genuinely valued and understood. One of the most powerful ways to build this culture is by encouraging open conversations about access and support. When we normalize these discussions, we remove the stigma. We make it easier for employees to ask for what they need and for teams to respond with empathy and flexibility. Another important step is providing disability awareness education to all staff. This goes beyond compliance. It's about understanding the lived experience of people with disability, breaking down unconscious bias, and learning how to be better allies in the workplace. Inclusion should also be embedded into your organisational policies. Disability shouldn't be an afterthought. It should be recognised as a key part of your broader diversity strategy. That means ensuring your policies are genuinely inclusive in their language, intent, and practice. And finally, representation matters. It's essential that people with disability are not only included, but given the opportunity to lead, to be part of decision-making processes, to take part in professional development, and to have their voices heard at every level of the organisation. When inclusion is woven into the fabric of workplace culture, it creates stronger teams, more innovative thinking, and a place where all people, regardless of ability, can thrive. So here's the last slide, some useful resources. As we work towards building more inclusive workplaces, it's important to remember that you're not alone in this journey. There are many fantastic resources out there specifically designed to support employers in creating accessible, welcoming environments for people who are blind or vision impaired. One of the most valuable is An Eye to the Future, a project developed by Blind Citizens Australia. It includes practical employer toolkits, real-life case studies, and step-by-step guidance on how to create inclusive employment pathways. And we'll make sure to share the e-guide with all this information very soon. Blind Citizens Australia also offers a range of advocacy services, advice, referrals, peer support, and workplace resources. They can assist you in understanding the needs of employees who are blind or vision impaired and how to support them effectively. Another key initiative is Includability, a program from the Australian Human Rights Commission. It provides comprehensive guidance of inclusive recruitment and employment practices, helping employers confidently take action towards disability inclusion. If you're looking for government-funded support, Job Access is your go-to. They offer advice and assistance on workplace modifications, funding opportunities, and connections with disability employment services. The Australian Disability Network is another excellent resource for employers. They provide strategic guidance on embedding accessibility and inclusion into your organisational culture, with a particular focus on practical solutions for the workplace. Vision Australia and See Differently also play a vital role, offering tailored support services, assistive technology solutions, and employment-related programs for people with vision loss. They can be a valuable partner in making your workplace truly accessible. And let's not forget Guide Dogs Australia, who provide orientation and mobility training, support with workplace navigation, and advocacy to help ensure people who are blind or vision impaired can participate fully and independently in work environments. And let's not forget those gorgeous guide dogs. By tapping into these resources, you're not only supporting individuals with vision impairment, you're building a stronger, more inclusive workplace for everyone. So before we finish, I just wanted to take any more last-minute questions about anything I've discussed.
We've got a hand raised from KJ, if you'd like to unmute.
Okay.
Hello, Rachel. Hi, everybody. It's Kay Jones from Guide Dogs Victoria. I just wanted to add that to Guide Dogs Australia, we now have here in Victoria a employment service specifically for people who are low vision and blind. So it's an adjunct to the work that we do across Australia, specifically in mobility training. It's particularly focused on supporting people on their employment journey. And Rachel and I have been doing some great work together. So if there's anyone here in Victoria that we can chat to further about their employment journey, we'd welcome that conversation.
Thanks, Kay, and I can personally attest to the great work that Kay Jones is doing. Kay is very passionate about the employment service role, and yeah, there's many great opportunities that blind and vision impaired people can get involved with through them. So yes, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, thanks to Guide Dogs Victoria. All right, if there are no more pressing questions, I'll head to the conclusion. So, thank you for joining today's webinar. We hope you feel more confident in hiring and supporting employees who are blind or vision impaired. For more information, visit the Eye to the Future website at eyetothefuture.com.au or the Blind Citizens Australia website at bca.org.au. Please provide any feedback you might have about today's session by contacting our team on email at bca@bca.org.au or phone 1800 033 660. We encourage you to take the next step towards creating an inclusive workplace. Thank you so much for joining us.